They're the liberal rednecks. They like cornbread and butt sex. They care way too much but don't give a fuck. They're the liberal rednecks that makes some people upset, but they got three big old dicks that you can suck.
I actually find, as I'm still out of breath, I find that no matter what shape, because I'm in insanely better shape. First
Right.
off, I'm in insanely better shape than I was 2 years ago, and like a year ago, I was in better shape than I was the year before that. Still got tired on the stairs. Now I'm in insanely better shape than I was even a year ago, and still, dude.
Still get tired on the stairs. Yeah.
Yes, and it's
Yeah. Well, in my experience, and I find this really annoying, and I feel like people who just hit like physically, because some people they just hit, they don't maybe have this problem, but like, yeah, I ride the bike all the time, the Peloton bike, and on the bike, I'm like, I can do it. I can ride that bike for over an hour, like
yeah,
or doing the actual programs, not just like pedaling, like going hard. And I'll get out of breath and stuff, but I can
do
do it.
it.
Whereas when I first started riding the bike, I couldn't get through a whole class, so like my fitness level has improved, but it does not seem to translate
Yeah,
to other things
yeah.
like just
Stairs.
climbing a set of stairs.
Yeah.
It's like you'd have to do a stair running program in order to no longer get winded going up the goddamn stairs if you don't just naturally hit physically. It's like it seems to not translate
And no, I
to
know.
other things, which is annoying.
And used to, I thought, like, because it's not, because I constantly am coming up my stairs to do this podcast. Maybe it's because I'm always in a tiff and I'm in a hurry. I don't know, but like, um, I wanted to actually mention that to my trainer Robbie over at Uncle Bod Fitness, because like I just thought, oh well, we haven't been doing a lot of cardio because that's just not in the system. But I go out on walks, but that's not really strenuous. But the other day, I literally ran like 5 miles, like straight, like just
Mhm.
did it. And it was blowing my mind. And I even called him afterwards because I didn't know that I was going to be able to do that. I just kind of had a lot of energy and I started running. And then I just kept going and I just didn't stop. And I was like, holy shit, dude. And I texted him that. He goes, yeah, I mean, the stuff we've been doing, the ab works out, it's strengthening your core. It does help all that. But again, literally, I'm still out of breath from
Mhm.
walking up my goddamn stairs.
Yeah, no, it don't hit, but here we are, me
Here
and
we
you.
are.
We're here on the WellRED podcast. Drew is on a plane at
Mm-hmm.
present, and this is the only time we had to do it, so it won't be no Drew.
Is his show tomorrow night?
I don't know. And I also don't know if that's like a thing he could talk about or we
Okay.
could
Well,
talk
if you're
about.
on Drew's social and he posts something about Zanies and you're in Nashville, go see our boy. So yeah, I don't know the
Yeah,
specifics of that. He's doing a taping or something.
he's doing a taping at Zany's. Yeah. So anyway, it's just us today, but we wanted to start off telling people. I feel like probably podcast listeners may have already seen them, but if you haven't seen them, go check out our new Comedy Central sketches that just dropped a couple days ago over the weekend. We got two of them, two new ones out there in the world.
Yeah, they're on Comedy Central's YouTube page. And if you don't feel like digging around on that, you can go to any of our socials and you can find the link there.
It
But they are the last two up there.
On that note, I don't know how interesting this is to people. I feel like everybody grapples with this sometimes. It fucking kills me how inconvenient and frustrating it is to just
Sharing
like
a YouTube clip.
share a
Yes,
link
it's
using
insane.
others. Like the social medias, they don't like work well together because they're
No.
all like, no, you don't hit for us. We
Yeah.
want your people over here because we hit and you don't hit.
Facebook and
So they
Instagram are owned by the same people, so they
right.
kind of do, but they
But
still
other
both
than
also
that,
have their own rules.
that none of them interface with each other well at all. And that's by design, but it fucking sucks because you got to like follow all these different rules or techniques just to like get people to see your thing that you're trying to. So we got these sketches on Comedy Central's YouTube. So we've got like clips that we'll post on something else, but you can't post a link in the clip or in the body of the post. So what do you do? And it's like, oh, there's a sticker you can search for and find, but only if you do it this way. And with the other ones, you got to put it in a comment because if you put it in the post, they'll bury it. And it's just all
And
this
you know what, in
fucking
my experience, is good for the user on social media? Make it more difficult for them. That's usually going to
I
be
know,
good for us.
I know,
That's
but
always
they
going to
like,
translate.
but they get away with it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like people, it's not like they're losing people over it.
Well, I mean, because there's only the three that you have. It's not like there's an alternative, like where, oh, well, no, everybody's just on this other social media site where links work and everything's fine. That there ain't one. Like
yeah,
it, you
but
know, and
so I don't even really know the best way. I believe if you go on YouTube and you type in WellRED Comedy Central, you
yeah,
will find all of the sketches we
yeah.
have done for them. So just start there and you'll see the two most recent ones. But yeah, that hit. What do you want to talk about? Like, I don't know, behind the scenes type stuff? Or what do you,
Yeah.
well, first of all, I want to bring up, um, a little bit behind the scenes. We all sort of write these together and stuff, but usually each sketch is the brainchild of one of us to start with, and then we like collaborate on them after that. We had two this weekend. The Kids These Days translator, which was a Cho brainchild, and then
You know, it's a me brainchild if it's a commercial parody, for the record. If you ever see us do a commercial parody, that's probably my idea.
And then the other one was originally called Going Coastal, but it's like what California does to, it's about a redneck guy who's gone all California and is embarrassed by it. And so I'm sure you'll be totally unsurprised to learn that that was from me. It's only semi autobiographical, but I do get, it's based on like, I get self-conscious about my California ism whenever I'm hanging out with my buddies back home again and stuff, is what the sort of the source of that. But where did we could talk more about that in a minute if we want to, but where did yours come from?
Mine came from so my wife's really tight with all of her cousins from Iowa, and they have in Iowa they have this grandmother, the cousin's grandmother. Her name was Grandma Pat. We called her G Pat, and she didn't really like me from the jump. When I first met her, it was like 6 or 7 of us all going over to her house around Christmas time. And I walked in and I thought one of Amber's cousins was directly behind me, but they had turned back to go to the car. So I left the door open thinking that they were walking right behind me, and they didn't come in for another 5 minutes. And the first time I meet this woman, she accuses me of being raised in a barn, but not in the, like,
What you trying
in
to
a,
do? Heat the whole outside?
she was
trying to do?
a real bitch about it. It wasn't like, oh, honey, were
bro.
you raised in a barn? Like it was rough. And would
That's not the thing. I don't hit for them.
I know, but like she wouldn't even accept the fact that like clearly I didn't just mean to leave a door open. I thought there was, but so from the jump, she just didn't really like me, and she was kind of a surly old gal. Well, her
Boy, ain't
Facebook,
nothing but an open door queer. That's what he is.
yeah, pretty much what she thought. So one of our favorite pastimes as cousins, the Iowa cousins, and me and Amber, we're all in a big text chain together, was sharing screenshots of GPAT on Facebook because she did not know how it went. The stereotypical, like she would post a status thinking it was her searching for something.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying? And just all sorts of shit like that. And she would just like every now and then she would have a post that was like, cancel Facebook, cancel Google. Like she was trying to cancel like subscriptions and stuff just by posting them as comments and shit. And she had no idea what was going on. She also very stereotypically didn't know that the crying laughing emoji was for laughing, and she would post it on like obituaries and shit. So like just all sorts of
right.
Yeah.
That's a classic one there.
All of that.
My best friend and bridge partner just died today, crying,
laughing. Yeah. She would do all of that shit. And so from that and from our group messages, we had like been, told by Comedy Central, we want y'all to write another thing. And I didn't really have that much of an idea. And then I just started thinking, I was like, I don't know. I think it's because I grew up loving Saturday Night Live and they had so many great commercial parodies. But I was like, oh, what if there was a device that we could give someone like GPAT to plug into her Facebook, and it would translate all her lunacy and make it appear like she knew what the fuck she was talking about. And that ended up being, well, how can we take this and make it kind of about actually what's going on in the world, because our group has to have at least kind of a political bend, for not for me to like it, but for people to want to buy it from us. And so it turned into, what if this was a boomer translator for people going on, anti-Semitic, anti-socialist tirades on Facebook, and it would make it to where them and their grandkids could still have a relationship.
Yeah. And how's the response been to that?
Here's the deal. Now I do now, that, like, I know when I say this, I've got to preface it by saying I don't mean on Twitter, because I know you're about to say, motherfucker, you check comments all the time. On YouTube stuff, I don't. The only reason that I check comments on, like, social media is because engagement is such a thing that you need in order to, like, push stuff and sell tickets. And I just kind of want to monitor, like, oh, this person said Knoxville. Hey, buddy, I'm going to be in Knoxville March 5th. But YouTube stuff, none of that's not really a thing. It's not a social thing. It's just a comment section where people shit on you. So I haven't looked at one comment on either of the videos. All I know is screen grabs that people have sent to us that I'm pretty sure the same that I do on these.
Yeah. Which what's the tenor of those?
The last couple, and these are all Drew sending us, these are people, boomers, saying, basically coming in with the not all boomers shit. That basically, and
this is a long running thing with us, because like, to be fair, we're aware of it. We have a lot of, like, boomer age fans, a whole lot, that come to our shows and stuff, and they're like good liberals and everything, and they get defensive when we talk shit about boomers, and it's been going on for forever. Me and Mark run into it on skews.
Oh, I'm sure.
The time, dude.
Guaranteed.
And every time we're like, listen, we are not, in no way are we implying that everyone who is this age acts this way.
But
it's just making fun of a thing that does happen,
that
with
very
people
clearly happens,
who are this age. And it's like, to me, it's literally no different than what we do with our, like, redneck material or our redneck sketches, where we're making fun of redneck shit. And, of course, and I feel like no one has a problem with that. Like, people don't, no one looks at that and they're like, well, you guys are, you're really implying that all rednecks are that way. And it's like, because they know, of course we're not, because that's our whole thing.
Right.
So of course we know that not all rednecks are fucking Bible thumping troglodytes. In my own parlance, we are those people who prove that.
But there's plenty of people, by the way, that share our shit that do not know that about us, and probably do think that we are just straight up making fun of rednecks, and it hits for them, and they share it, and they're like, boom, fuck that, But I'm saying some of those are boomers who never once would be like, this ain't how all rednecks are. I don't know why these guys are doing that, to your point.
But it's like, and this is maybe a more extreme analogy, but it's like, when like, I remember in one of my videos, and other people have said this too, but it was like early in the Trump era or whatever. It's like, listen, I know that, objectively speaking, not everyone who voted for Trump is a racist. I know that's true. But every racist that voted voted for Trump. You know what I mean? Like, Trump is the official candidate of hardcore racist.
Right.
You can like him and not be racist, but, like, don't try to act like that ain't what it is. You know what I mean? And so it's a similar thing where it's like, if you're talking about people being, dumb and confused on the internet, not understanding how it works, of course we know that plenty of older people are not that way, but it's a thing with older people, and them being also, like, casually homophobic, or, or not entirely woke about stuff, literally and figuratively. It's like, that's just, those things are all real things, and we're making fun of them, but it's never, the implication is never meant to be every one of these people is exactly like this. Like, I mean, of course not. I feel like you shouldn't have to say that about any piece of, like, sketch comedy or stand-up material or whatever. Of course, no one's ever implying.
Well, we didn't even say it in the sketch. The sketch was about a Papaw and Mamaw, these two characters. You know what I mean? It
Yeah.
wasn't, the character's name wasn't every old man in America and every old woman in America. That wasn't, it was these two people, and do not act like those two people do not fucking exist. And a lot of the comments too this was a really hilarious one that Drew got. That was, it started off with the not all boomers are like this. I'm not like this. Sure, my husband is. All the people I went to high school with and everyone at my church is. So basically, it was just like, hey, I'm not this way. So, and it's like, right. So you shouldn't, if you're not this way, then you shouldn't feel attacked by it, basically, is what it boils down to, which is like the argument I always made with critical race theory. The reason I don't have a problem with critical race theory being taught is because I go, yeah, it's not really affecting any of my core beliefs. So fuck it, let it rip. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's, yeah, I don't know. It's been an ongoing thing with us, and I don't know how many times we have to, say that over and over again. But the other thing that I'll say,
we could just not. I just want to say
that's
it.
true. You're right. That is true. The other thing I'll say about it is that it's not, the jokes in that sketch are not exclusively pointed at the boomers either. Like there's like jokes in there about the younger generation. You know what I mean? Like,
the fucking the literal last line I had Drew deliver was my way of being like, hey man, you should still respect these people. They've been through a lot for you. There's a reason that maybe it's been harder for them to come around on some stuff. Like the last line was literally like, I just want to be able to talk to my pinko, commie, liberal grandkids and have them hear it from my point of view as someone who fucking worked 4 jobs in 2 cities over 4 goddamn decades and gave up on his fucking dreams to provide a better life for them. I mean, that's fucking on the nose. Like, it's, you know what I mean? Like, it just says that. And I did that because I was like, I want everyone else to go, oh, that's true. You know what I mean? Like, they're old and they've been through a lot, and fucking maybe talk to them different. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, there was one comment too that was something like, "This is spot on for the current generation," and then the comment under that was like, "Yeah, and for boomers too," or maybe vice versa. And it's like, I couldn't be entirely sure, but I felt like at least one of those people interpreted the sketch as us like making more fun of the younger people.
Good.
You know what I
That's
mean?
fine.
And no, that's
we weren't,
perfect. That's
but
great.
I'm glad they thought that, because I did have it peppered in there.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
at first it says this way you'll be able to talk to your pansy ass grandkids.
I know, right? I'm saying all those lines like that, they're meant tongue in cheek,
Of course.
but I think that some people may watch it and just be like, "Yeah, it is hard to talk to them,"
For the record, I bet it is. That's why that's why I put that last line in there.
It is funny. But yeah, no, and then the premise of mine is that I knew this would happen, and I get it completely, but like people are, it's not meant to literally be me, and it's definitely not meant to be Corey and Drew in the sketch. That part I was like not worried about, but like Corey and Drew play like redneck ass old boy cousins of mine from Salina, so they're not at all playing themselves.
We just had our same names because fuck it.
Well, I thought we changed that, didn't we?
Drew was definitely Drew in the sketch for sure.
Like in the final cut,
Yeah, yeah.
When did he get called Drew? Did I call him Drew?
Yeah, or I did one.
When Alexa talks, which is one of the funniest parts of the sketch, in my opinion, my own very biased opinion. She originally called y'all Corey and Drew, and I had him change that to the boys. So now it says the boys on it, because I was trying to, but I guess I missed at least one instance. We called him that while filming it, but I remember even while we were filming it, I remember saying to you guys and to everybody, I was like, don't use each other's names. Like, you don't say, because I was trying to not have that happen, but maybe I missed one. I don't know.
I mean, dude, it's totally fine. It's bullshit that we can't just play the sketch here without getting flagged on YouTube, since it's our goddamn sketch, but I know we can't.
Right. Yeah, it would be an automatic thing. But anyway, the character that I play was a version of myself, is from rural Tennessee and now lives in California, and his cousins are coming to visit from back home, and they're real rednecky. And so he's ashamed and is trying to hide all the California shit that he has assimilated into. and it unravels immediately. I felt pretty good about it, but the inspiration for that sketch was just like, I haven't really adopted very many super California things. I mean, I got a Peloton bike. I'll do yoga now and then, but I ain't like, I'm not that.
You were pretty queer before you left.
Exactly right. I
Yeah.
haven't really changed all that much, in my opinion, but still, like, when I would go back home and visit with my high school buddies and stuff, there would be like little elements. Like, I remember one time, and I think I've told this story before, but like, my buddy Kobe, who's an awesome dude, but he's like probably my most red ass good friend. But he's
Here's
a good
how I
fella,
know
though.
Kobe's your most red ass friend, because his name comes up in your act more than anyone's, and it's
He's
when
my
you're-
go-to.
Yeah.
Even when I'm telling a story that ain't about Kobe, I just think his name just
It's so
sounds
redneck.
right. Yeah. So anyway, but this is a real conversation, and Kobe was telling me this pretty amazing story, honestly, about his daughter's first hunting trip. She was like 9 or 10 at the time, and my sons were like 4 and 5 or something like that. And it was her first hunting trip, and she killed a deer. She bagged one, and he
Hell
told
yeah.
this story, and it was like real heartfelt and touching the way he told it. It was like, it clearly meant a lot to him, because she like nailed it, and he was so proud and all this stuff. And then like at the end of it, I was just like, yeah, Bishop's a vegetarian for moral reasons, really, which is true. But like, so like shit like that. And I thought it was funny, the idea of like, we like flipping things on their head, and people in California, the thing that typically happens, if a Southerner moves to California, you try to hide the fact
that you're redneck.
That you're redneck from the rest of you come here, you lose your accent. You're like Mark told us the other day, he met some dude walking his dog, and he asked him where he's from, and he said the guy very sheepishly was like, well, I'm from Alabama. Like he was like embarrassed about it. That's normally the direction it goes. So I thought it was funny flipping it on its head, being, and having the guy be embarrassed of all the California shit because of his like redneck background or whatever. So that's sort of the premise of that. But yeah, if y'all haven't seen them, you should watch them both. Feel good about how they turned out, and watch all the old ones too. They also hit.
Yeah, they do hit. And no, I relate to that sketch too. Still living in Georgia, for the record. Just being on the tour that we're on, and the fact that we're a little successful, I still get called Hollywood living here.
Of course, yeah.
But then when I come out to Hollywood, I'm a redneck, So like,
yeah, right. That's another thing. That I've talked
man
about.
without a country thing.
The man without a country thing. Yeah, I've talked about it a lot. I've mentioned it on stage before. I've thought about going into more detail on it in a bit or something. But yeah, it's like everything's all relative. Like, I know when I first went viral and stuff, I knew there were some dudes that I went to school with who were kind of like, talking shit somewhat to Thompson or whatever, and saying things like, dude, fucking Trae. Everybody knew Trae was the least redneck motherfucker in our whole school, or whatever. And it's like, the thing is, in my friend group, absolutely.
Right.
I was objectively, but what they don't understand is that was Salina, Tennessee,
Right.
just by virtue of having grown up with them in that place at that time. In most of the rest of the fucking country, including like Knoxville, even.
Where we're going to be March 5th, by the way, at the Bijou Theater.
Yes, the Bijou Theater, March 5th.
Get your tickets
Please come see us, Knoxville.
WellREDcomedy.com.
But like, I'm the most country ass redneck seeming motherfucker most of those people deal with on a day-to-day basis. Like in my old office job in Knoxville, people commented all the time. Other people from like the Knoxville area or from other parts of the South would, comment on my accent and shit. And dude, out here in Southern California, oh my God. So like, it's all relative, and it is based on just, individual perception or whatever. What'd you say a minute ago? So, we are sort of men without a country in a way, which is fine, because I never felt like I fit in Salina either,
I know, me either.
But I don't at all feel like I fit in out here either.
I've
always been a misfit.
And that's good.
Yeah, no, I mean, I've grown to accept it. Like I said, it's a big part of my whole deal.
I was about to say, like, you need to stick out, not fit in. The second you blend in, you kind of, and this is no offense, but like, you lose part of your whole goddamn thing.
Yeah, the other night at the bar, our buddy Irvine, who's been on the show before, very tubular dude,
Super tubular.
was in town for like a week, so we all got together at a bar, me, him, and Drew, and his buddy Ben, and we were just like hanging out or whatever. And some chick comes up to us about our age, and she's like, "I'm sorry, where are you guys from?" Talking to me and Drew, me mostly. I had been screaming, of course, like
About what, football?
No, it literally, there was a jukebox playing, so there was music.
You're
And so
right.
I was like, I have to elevate my voice. But when I elevate my voice on
Yeah, it's
purpose,
bad.
even it's like really loud and has the
Yeah.
accent to go with it. So she heard me. She came over there and asked where I'm from. I said Tennessee, and she said she was originally from Texas. And then she went into this whole thing. She just could not believe. She was like, "So how long have you been here?" And I said, "I've been here for like 5 years now." And she was like, "What? But you still have that accent?" And I was like, "Yeah." She's like, "When?"
What do you do with it?
She was like, you're not working on that or whatever." And I was like, "No." And she was like, you don't think you're ever gonna just lose it?" And I was like, "No, not at this point." And Drew, I wasn't gonna say nothing about it, but Drew finally mentioned, he was
Yeah.
like, that we're comedians.
Yeah.
And he told
You
her,
perform in your accent.
it's kind of like, that's like a big part of our whole thing. So I think he's fine, but she just couldn't wrap her head around the idea that someone would like not go out. But also, it's hard for people like that, make it sound like when you're from the South and you move out here, it just gradually just goes away.
Yeah. I mean, it does for some. I
I
know.
mean, I guess it
have.
does to a certain extent. I just know that I would have to like actively pursue
Yeah.
making
And
that
fuck
happen
that.
in order for that to happen to me. I just know I would. Maybe
I
after
mean,
fucking 20 plus years,
no,
maybe, but like,
no. And here's why: because you're in a job where you're always performing as yourself, and
right.
also on a daily basis, you talk to me and Drew and all you boys from back home. Like these people, they go in and they don't talk to their mama for a whole goddamn week because they're so busy working on the lot trying to get ahead, and they only talk to other fucking California types. So like, I get it to a certain degree. Like, I can be around Matt Lejeski in Jersey for 30 minutes and I'm talking Jersey a little bit. I could see if I moved to New Jersey and wasn't doing comedy and wasn't talking to my boys back home regular or doing a podcast every week with a bunch of rednecks, and I just isolated myself there, after 10 years, I would definitely still sound like a redneck to them. But when I came home, everybody be like, "Oh, wow, you've kind of lost your accent." But yeah, by
Yeah.
virtue of the fact that you are always performing as you, like, why the
Yeah.
fuck would you want to? Like,
Right.
honestly, I
And
think mine has gotten a little bit worse since the tour started.
yeah, maybe. I don't know. I just realized we probably should take a break real quick, shouldn't we?
We should. Let's take a break real quick.
Okay. And we're back.
We are back.
Yeah, no, I don't know. I mean, yeah, dude, I'm not. I mean, again, I also kind of get it. I know the idea is like, listen, you got to you're trying to get out here and get a job and
I get
shit.
it.
You're going to need to get rid of that accent, but it's completely different for me and for us for all the reasons we already named, but
I don't fault anybody who felt
wouldn't,
like they needed to do it.
I don't either, but I just know how I am. And I know it's easy for me to say because I am a comedian and this is a huge part of my whole thing, but I've got such a chip on my shoulder, a lifelong chip on my shoulder about it. I do not think that I personally would be any different, even if I wasn't a comedian, because I would be so like, again, I'd be so defiant about
Yeah.
it that I would just refuse to lose my accent either way. But I don't blame people. I don't blame people who do that either.
No, I mean, hell, their college professors literally told
Right.
them to. And some of them weren't being dickheads. As I'm sure that there were some Southern professors that were like, "Hey, listen, just letting you know, I'm not telling you it's right. I'm just telling you how the world works." And that's fucking true. Like, it's not right. I hate, hell, I wrote a whole thing today at CoreyWritesForYou.com, by the way, where you can subscribe and get newsletters every week. I wrote a whole thing today on this lady calling me out for not having a good vocabulary. And that is something I'm kind of sensitive to, because like, if I didn't sound the way I sounded, nobody would bring that up as much. But because I sound the way I sound, every little tiny thing is, oh, he must be a goddamn idiot, So again, it just is the way the world is. You ain't going to change how society feels about this accent. You just got to either be us, who are like, fuck it, I'm going to be defiant, or you got to be like, I want my life to be easier, so I'm just going to kind of adopt the mid-Atlantic accent.
Yeah, like I remember one time early on in stand up because I was a house MC at Side Splitters in Knoxville, and the feature act, who was this guy from Florida whose name I genuinely don't remember, but you probably ran into him a time or two. When we first met or whatnot, he was he asked me about my day job or something, and I told him I worked
Tall,
for
bald guy?
No, he wasn't bald. He was
Okay.
tall, very tall, but not bald at all. He had like a pretty big head of hair. Not long, but I'm saying like
Yeah.
he had hair. And anyway, he'd asked me like what my day job was because I'm the fucking MC, and I told him I was a contracting officer for the U.S. Department of Energy, and he was like, I said that, and he was like, holy shit. He's like, they didn't hear your fucking accent and turn you away at the door or something like that, and I was like, well, no, because they also saw my fucking GPA and ACT score and got over it pretty goddamn quick.
Yeah.
Because they saw that I had 2 degrees and a 4.0 and all, like I just got all up in his face about it or whatever. And he was just like, but you could just, so I'm saying I've always like that whole thing. I've just always had that in fucking spades.
That's kind of fucked up coming from a comic, to be honest with you, because
dude, he was doing it all weekend. He was like doing it on stage, and it never really landed because we're in Knoxville. And also I always did well. I was funny. So like they had liked me. We're in Knoxville. I've got that, but he'd get up there and like fucking try to make cracks and shit about my accent and stuff. And again,
like,
they never
you're
worked,
in Knoxville,
but
it's not playing, dude.
Kept doing it. Yeah, he was doing that shit all weekend.
It's so funny
honestly,
that
the dude did not hit for me, if you can't tell.
In his mind, he didn't think like the whole audience was like, you're talking about us, right, buddy?
Right. Yeah.
But I said that as fucked up as him as a comedian. My point is that I know, and that all comics are not brilliant, but we definitely all like to pretend we are. You know what I'm saying? So like, you would think that in his mind, he would be like, well, yeah, you're a comedian, so clearly you're a smart person. Why wouldn't you work for the DOE? Because that's how my brain would work. I'd be like, yeah, if you can do this, you can fucking do anything. So why wouldn't you do that?
Well, yeah, but this dude was just one of those people that was
like,
all of that was completely, totally overridden by my accent.
Yeah,
and,
I guess,
and how he interpreted it. Like,
yeah,
he heard my accent and in his head, he was like, this guy is a fucking dipshit, dude.
Yeah.
And he couldn't process that I wasn't, no matter how many times I sort of illustrated that for him over the weekend,
Right.
But some people just be like that.
No, dude, it's I mean, goddamn, the fucking lady in San Francisco asking you how you got to college, and it's a double-edged sword, because like it is awesome in a way for us.
Yeah, right.
It's a huge cheat code.
Yeah, because that's like it's like, oh my god, I say a big word and people are like, oh
my god, yeah,
it's great.
like
because
dude,
the bar is so low. When you have this accent,
it's insanely low. Like I'll write something and I'll put it out there, and people are like, oh my god, dude, I mean, this is like Faulkner level shit, and it's just because the video that I'd posted before was me shirtless screaming. So they're comparing the two, and they're like, oh, wow, range, but it's like, if I had just decided to be a writer, I'm not good enough for anyone to think that I'm fucking brilliant, but because of the other shit and the accent, they're not expecting it. So here you go. So again, like, I really don't want it to go away in a way. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No,
and it won't. Don't worry about it.
Yeah, you're 100% right. Like we're sitting here complaining about it and everything, but it definitely is like a hugely important part of
why we're complaining about it, Trae? It's because we care about other people besides ourselves.
That's right.
You know what I mean? It's
not
just
the only other poor rednecks out there.
That's what I'm saying. But like, yeah, for me personally, it's working out. It's working out okay. But yeah, like we've made, like, I feel like the South has had, this is I can't say this now because you can't discount the 4 years of Trump and how much that set the South back again. But what with Georgia turning blue and Stacey Abrams and a lot of stuff going on, we have had kind of a moment. Dolly's still out there showing out for us. We've had some good moments, but it is always 3 steps back. All I'm saying
is, again, and we both fucking, I think, addressed this online at the time. But like that did happen. But like using Georgia specifically as an example, that happened with Georgia going blue, and everybody was jerking Georgia off for a minute, and
For
I
literally
was
2
thrilled.
weeks.
I was about to say, and it was like a month or so later, the Republican state level people in Georgia started passing these voter suppression laws, and all of a sudden, all these same people who have been jerking Georgia off were now like, boycott Georgia, everybody get the fuck out of Georgia, fuck Georgia, and that whole thing. And it's like you just already completely forgot
Yeah.
about like all those people that flipped Georgia blue, like they're still there, and this don't hit for them either. And everybody just went straight to fucking sanction them, leave, punish them, fuck them, because it's just I don't know. There's just so much baggage still there that like when something good does happen, everybody's like, oh, this is noteworthy, but then it doesn't really buy any long-term goodwill or anything.
Right.
Like,
No, it
because
doesn't.
to be fair, because the states then turn right around and do some fucking dipshit stuff again.
They do. And I'm no goddamn poli-sci major or know anything at all in general. But in my opinion, when a state, Georgia is now like a swing state, which is insane. That's crazy to say out loud. I genuinely didn't know that I'd see that in my lifetime. That's bizarre and awesome. But Georgia flips blue in the 2020 election. Yay. Everybody's great. Oh, Warnock, Ossoff, awesome. Oh, Stacey Abrams going to make a run. And then the voter suppression thing, the abortion thing, and everybody's like, fuck them. Let's pull all our money, boycott all the movies. To me, that's a real good way to make sure it goes red next time, in my opinion.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I don't know how.
For sure.
It's so hard to say. I don't want to just say, hey, ignore it all. It doesn't matter. Give us a pass. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying, like, as you said, when we first started the tour, long before COVID, which is so hard for me to even remember a time when we were touring and that wasn't even a thing. But people were like, are y'all going to actually tour in North Carolina, because of the bathroom bill? And you were like, yeah, because the people that voted for that bill are not coming to our show. And why the fuck would we punish the good people of that state who won't entertain? It's not their goddamn fault.
Right.
Like, that's insane. That's criminal. It doesn't help anybody, in my opinion. And for the record, why don't you, like, they're like, I'm not even going to drive through Georgia. I'm going to drive 6 hours all the way up just so I don't leave the fucking country then, because it's all America. You know what I mean? Like, what the fuck, dude? Like, at the end of the day, this is America. You clearly don't like, and I get it. I'm just saying, don't fucking act like you can annex one little part and feel good about yourself and jack your little Democrat dick off. It don't work like that.
When you said driving around Georgia, you meant they were like boycotting it, right? Because
I saw
it's also a thing that like people they just like worry about literally driving through southern states and stuff like that. And like, listen,
if you're black, I get it.
If you're talking about black people and for a long time, sundown towns and all that, I mean, I get it. But like, I've met plenty of white liberals and stuff who would talk about like it's a harrowing experience. And I'm saying, like, dude, I don't think there's very many states in this country that you can drive across the rural stretches of
and not
that
feel
don't
like,
have a lot of the exact same things going on.
I know for a fact that it's not.
Matter of fact, did you watch the show Lovecraft Country on HBO?
Yeah, sure. I didn't. I still have 2 episodes left because it's one that my wife bailed on.
So they, I really dug that show. But like one thing they showed was like, how it back in the day in the 50s and stuff like that, like it wasn't safe for black people to travel like anywhere. Like the show takes place in like I don't know, New York or somewhere up north. I can't remember. But like there's sundown towns and it's a problem. And
I thought it was Chicago for some reason.
Maybe it might be. You might be right. It might be up there, but it's in the north somewhere.
Yeah.
And there's like sundown towns and it ain't safe for people to be there. And also the Perry Mason reboot on HBO showed how insanely fucking racist Los Angeles was in like the 20s or whatever. Cause I'm just saying, I feel like people like that. People feel like all of that shit was just relegated to the South alone at that time. When it's like, no, the whole goddamn country was horrifically racist.
The Green Book wasn't written just for the South.
Right. Yeah. Still is in a lot of places. But that sentiment carries forward into like the modern day where they think it's like, oh, we're fine here. The problem is there.
Yeah.
When it's like, we have a problem there.
For sure.
But like, it's problems everywhere. And it just makes it, the South's an easy scapegoat and makes it easy for people to sort of overlook their own shit in their own backyard.
I mean, I know that's, dude, the people love just, I always say Connecticut, and please, if you're listening, I don't have anything against Connecticut. It's just the most erudite goddamn state I can think of, and thus the best example. But I feel like, people in Connecticut do look at the South and be like, well, at least like you said, we're good. It's not our problem. It's all them down there. So then they can just kind of be lazy and not do a goddamn thing and feel good about themselves. Like they're a better person just for simply living not in the South. And for the record, I wasn't talking about a person not wanting to drive through it for being scared. And like you said, I would totally understand black people doing that. Roy Wood Jr. used to have that great bit about how he doesn't want rebel flags to go away because that's how he knows what gas station not to stop at.
To not go to, yeah.
What I'm talking about is this woman, back to comments, this woman made a comment on something I did on Twitter. And to preface this, she thought she was endearing herself to me, as they often
happens
do
all the time.
Yeah, she told me that she had to go somewhere, and the route takes her through Georgia, but she decided to take an alternate route that took her 3 extra hours just because she didn't even want to give the state of Georgia gas money. And I don't remember what she said.
She went through Tennessee instead? Because I can go ahead and tell you right now,
it ain't better.
It ain't no fucking better than
right.
Objectively
well, it's just Georgia
worse,
was,
in fact.
Georgia was the pinata of the week,
Right. Yeah.
But she said all that in a very look at me, Corey, aren't you going to be proud of me? And I called her a fucking idiot. I was like, you didn't do anything. You didn't number one. You just spent 3 extra hours of your life to do nothing. Congratulations. And B, at very best, you didn't give tax money to some people that probably could have used it and aren't assholes. Maybe we're fine. I don't know. I'm from here, so it's easy for me to say, but that just don't fucking help and is stupid and is personally offensive to me.
Yeah, I mean, right. I mean, I live in LA now, but yeah, I just always think about when I lived in Tennessee, if Tennessee was doing some dumb shit, I still wanted to be able to go to a show or whatever.
Of course.
I would have felt like I was being punished for the dipshits
and you would have
around me. Yeah, and I would have been, right. And I just don't, because so whenever that whole thing comes back up, I just don't fuck with that notion whatsoever, because I just ain't with that,
Yeah, and I don't really give a fuck how people feel. Of course, I think we've made our case on that pretty clear before, but it just doesn't. I mean, dude, again, every single stop on our tour, no matter what state it's in, if you give me 20 minutes and Google, I can figure out one state representative from that district that did some fucked up shit. So what, I can't go to Wisconsin now? You ain't saying shit about Wisconsin. You think everybody thinks fine in Wisconsin? Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, for sure. I had one other thing. I don't know how long this will go, but if you want to switch gears a little bit,
sure. You want to take a break real quick?
Yeah, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back. I feel like you might maybe have some insight into this because your dad and what he does for a living, because this is like a marketing sort of question, but it's like a grand scale marketing question. So, and I've thought about this type of thing before. But so apparently Pepsi has decided to no longer sponsor the Super Bowl halftime show. It's been the Pepsi Super Bowl halftime show for a long time now.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a big fucking deal.
They're pulling out of that. And so the NFL will find a new sponsor, and it's going to cost it's $50 million a year. Of course, they'll probably bid it out, so it could go up at this point, but Pepsi paid $50 million a year. And so, look, I know it's the fucking Super Bowl. I get that. But I always wonder with brands.
That's all it is 50 million?
Yeah, but so with brand, and I know Pepsi's they got it like that.
Yeah, of course.
They're Pepsi, but that's part of my larger point is with a brand as ubiquitous as Pepsi, it's like, are they getting $50 million worth of return out of that one particular marketing ploy? Because people, it's not like a movie trailer or something where people see it and they're like, oh shit,
I gotta
know they made that. That looks good. It's it's Pepsi. Pepsi's everywhere.
You either drink it or you don't.
I know you have to spend on marketing and shit. I get that you have to do that. And I know that it's like a cumulative effect of the whole thing for brand recognition or whatever. But it just seems like, are they how many people ever, and I guess they'd say it subconsciously, but have watched the Super Bowl halftime show and then went, you know what? I want a fucking Pepsi right now. Like, I feel like you either fuck with Pepsi or you don't, or you're in the store and you're looking at sodas and you're like, you know what sounds good? Pepsi. Because
Pepsi,
everybody
right.
already knows what Pepsi is.
Yeah.
So, like, when they got a new flavor, when they got a new, that new
Hotness.
hotness they're
Yeah.
dropping, that's like a movie trailer. I get
Right.
that. But just Pepsi in general, I don't know. It's kind of, I just don't, it seems, the whole thing seems kind of weird to me because everybody knows what Pepsi is already.
I've never thought about it with Pepsi in the halftime show, but I definitely have thought about it just with Coke in general and how much advertising they do all the time. Because I'm like, dude, it's fucking Coke. Coke is Mickey Mouse. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah. Right.
But then at the same time, Mickey Mouse is Mickey Mouse, and they shove that shit down my throat all the time too. So I don't know, man. I guess we just don't really have a good sense of, like, first off, Super Bowl. I mean, how many eyes are on that? Like 80 million
or
people,
more.
Yeah. Actually, it's definitely more, because I think 80 million was like who watched the fucking,
I think it's like
AFC
over
champion.
100 million.
Yeah, and it's global shit, and I don't know, man. I really don't. I mean, obviously, those people are not in the business of just throwing away fucking money,
right?
Like, clearly they're not, and it's just
but
one of those.
Also, they've chosen to stop this
Right.
year. You know what I mean? But yeah, no, it's like people like that. They don't just spend money if they don't have data that suggests that it's working for them or whatever.
Right.
But
I guess it's just to keep it in everybody's mind.
I know, but it's so.
Maybe there are people that, like, we're going to go get some soda, and they might have defaulted to Coke, but they just seen the Pepsi halftime show and they're like, blue box, I'll grab. I don't know.
You walk in grocery stores, you see billboards and stuff, and like print ads or big posters or big like signs and stuff for Coke and Pepsi and brands like that are like physical ads that are put up in the world.
Yeah.
Like, those I totally get, because it does just make a person go like, oh shit,
right on.
Good right now, a Pepsi.
But that didn't cost $50 million.
And I'm in the store. I get why they put their shit up everywhere in that way for that reason. But yeah, but like big elaborate ad campaigns and stuff, I don't know. It just seems weird to me. But again, obviously they do something or everybody wouldn't be doing it, but just an ad just for some big super expensive ad for just straight up, this is for Pepsi.
Mm-hmm.
Not new Pepsi, not new Pepsi orange vanilla that's coming out, just Pepsi. It's like, I don't know. I've just always thought, like, what's that doing?
Again, I've thought about it with Coke all the time. Like, who's not fucking getting Coke? Like, Coke is just...
Coke, exact same thing. Like in my head, like I feel the exact same way about Coke too, but I don't know.
Okay, top 3. I'll give you mine. Top 3 predictions for who is going to take over the Super Bowl halftime show. I will give you my top 3 right off the top of my dome. Number 1, Allstate. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Insurance is they actually would benefit from that shit, because that's not a Pepsi Coke thing. That is a thing where a bunch of people are sitting there watching it. It's the beginning of the year. A lot of people's insurance has lapsed. They're about to have to find somebody new. Allstate. Oh, what a great deal. Didn't Aaron Rodgers one of their guys? He fucking don't believe in COVID. Right on. So Allstate's my number 1. My number 2 is Meta, or Facebook, as it were. They've got the money. They are currently kind of taking a bath on some shit because they've had some bad press, right? So they need to get their stocks back up. Some big exposure like that. They're hitting their target, demos, which is all of them and a lot of older people. Of course, that's not the target demo, I guess, for the halftime show. That's number 2. My dark horse is Bitcoin, or my
dark horse was crypto.com.
Yeah, crypto.com.
They're I was gonna name them the dark horse too. And then the mainstream, I would say, like Geico and, I don't know, the United States Army, probably.
Yeah. Walmart
would make sense.
Yeah, it would.
Yeah. Crypto, if I'm not mistaken, crypto.com actually already bought the naming rights for the fucking Staples Center in LA.
Oh my God.
It's wild too. Like that's another kind of wild thing to think about when it comes to shit like this, because the Staples Center, that's the office supply chain.
How has it been the Staples Center?
But it's like, it's also just the Staples Center. It's been the Staples Center for so long. People just call it the Staples. Like, I mean, I live in LA. I've been to the Staples Center.
You don't
I
even think about the
store.
yeah.
I just think about that's the name of that place. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Some of them are more in your face about it, like it's more obvious. You know, like fucking Nissan
MetLife Stadium.
Yeah, yeah. But like something like that, I feel like that's hard to quantify how much that is worth. You know what I'm saying? Especially again when it becomes like just the name of a place and people aren't thinking about it in that way at all anymore. But anyway, Staples Center, I think, is like the fucking crypto dome now or some shit.
I mean, honestly, I can't believe that it's taken this long for Staples to lose that shit just because, like, dude, Staples and, like, places like Radio Shack and shit and Office Depot, they are not doing... Well, first off, Radio Shack's gone. But, like, Office Depot and them, they are not doing good right now because of Amazon and because of all sorts of other things. I saw a thing the other day that, like, apparently... When you go to somebody went to a Staples or an Office Depot and was like looking at certain products and like taking pictures of their prices and then going and showing the same exact thing on Amazon. And dude, we're not talking about like a 10%, 20% markup. We're talking about something on Amazon that was $10.99 was like $2,000 at Staples. And I started reading about it and it was basically, they were like, yeah, they know most people aren't going to fall for it, but somebody might, and that will cover their nut for all the other shit that they're not selling because they assume someone now going into Staples is probably in a pinch. They're like, oh shit, I got to get this thing and I need it right now. So they're like, we can pretty much just make it whatever. If they were smart, they would have fucking went to Amazon and got it.
Staples.
They wouldn't be in Staples. But
that's wild.
But
man.
yeah, like I can't remember what it was, like an Ethernet cord or something that was like $1,000 at fucking Staples, and like I got that same one for like $20.
That's
same
crazy.
exact one. Yeah, but I don't know, man. I don't know how you quantify that shit. Like you clearly aren't able to. Like you can't, because it's not like people walk into a store and go, "How'd you hear about Pepsi? Oh, Super Bowl. Okay,
Lakers game.
Pally. Yeah, like right. Yeah. I don't know, man. And I'm sure that Pepsi is about to have though the actual data on the first year that they don't do it. You know, if they see a decline around February, March, then they're going to be like, "Oh shit, I guess we should have done that."
Yeah, right. But they're so huge and so everywhere, and I'm sure their overall marketing budget is so massive that it's like it could be, you know, the numbers who knows what it depends on all the other things that they've done too. You know what I mean? Like in that time frame.
Do you think anybody at Pepsi still has a dream of being number one? Like, do you think anybody there?
Hope not.
I mean,
I don't know why. I don't know. That's pretty high level of line.
But they have to,
in my opinion.
But like, you got to hire someone with that attitude, right?
Wait a minute. Didn't for like a brief period of time, didn't that actually happen a long time ago? I mean,
when Coke changed their formula, I think.
Is that what it was? Okay.
I don't know, but all I'm saying is just thinking of what it literally almost would have had to have been was when Coke went to New Coke. You know what I mean? And like, there's a reason they went right back to fucking regular Coke, but like it's almost impossible for me to think of them taking over Coke unless it was, yeah, this new Coke don't hit no more. I wish we had a fucking producer right now.
I'm trying to look it up right now. I guess it's like,
and that was like the 80s and 90s, right?
I'm about to say in 1983, according
Michael
to this,
Jackson.
1983, Pepsi was outselling Coke in supermarkets and whatnot. So I thought there was a time in the 80s where Pepsi kind of did it, and I guess Coke had fallen off briefly or whatever. But I mean, nowadays,
hold on.
For the most part, it's been just
Coke
all the way.
While you're here, Google when Pepsi started doing the halftime show at the Super Bowl, because Pepsi had a big deal with Michael Jackson. Remember when his goddamn hair caught on fire? That was during a Pepsi halftime Super Bowl. What if that was 83 and that's the year that they took him over, and that's why they've kept doing the Super Bowl this whole time? Because they're like, it got us here. You know, you can't deny it. We started doing the Super Bowl and we outsold Coke. And then, of course, Coke put out a new banging Santa Claus commercial. And like they were back on. What are you saying?
According to this, Pepsi's been the presenting sponsor for the halftime show since 2013.
That's it?
So not even 10 years. Yeah, that's weird. It's wild.
Man, I really thought I was on to something.
What's wild how quickly these things sort of take over in your mind. You know what I mean? Like
I mean, that's been for 9 Super Bowls.
thinking about, I know, and I'm saying, and in my head, it's like I can't even remember when it wasn't Pepsi, but like clearly I
Mainly
can
because
remember
who the
those
fuck was it
games.
before? I don't.
Yeah.
I have no, like, when Justin Timberlake was pulling titties out. Who was
I don't
doing
know.
that shit? Like, did they have the same one forever?
Super Bowl halftime show sponsors.
Amazon, by the way, might be the Super Bowl
Yeah,
show.
that would definitely make
That would
sense.
check smooth out. Or Elon Tesla. You know, Tesla could do it. These are none of my hopes, for the record. Although I don't really know how it would change anything. It's not like. Were you in the thread the other day when I told you that I found out that the performers don't get paid and actually put up the money for their halftime show?
I did actually know that already, and that is so wild. It's one of those things. It's like it kind of makes sense when you think about it, but it also still is bullshit because if anybody can afford it, it's the
Of
fucking
course.
NFL. But yeah, for people that don't know, the NFL doesn't pay the halftime performers at all. Matter of fact, they don't even, the halftime performers have to pay out of pocket to put on the halftime show, and they all willingly do it because it's just like, it's a long running sort of joke in the creative world about getting paid and exposure. But like that,
and I think
right
Snoop
there,
Dogg got paid an exposure.
yeah, but the Super Bowl's like, that's
No,
about as
no,
exposed
I know.
as exposure gets.
I know
So,
that, but think
but it
about
is
this
wild.
though. Think about this though. Back when Justin Timberlake did the Super Bowl, all right, this is like early 2000s.
I don't
CDs,
remember that. How was it good? How'd that go when Timberlake did it?
it was pretty good. Yeah, it was
Okay,
all, yeah, it was
I'll
all
have to
right.
check that out.
Yeah, we'll send a clip later. I'll show you.
Okay,
I'll
yeah,
there's a good
I look
one.
forward to seeing how that panned out.
Yeah, it was all right, and he got in just as much trouble as the gal. You know, it was the whole thing. So, when Justin Timberlake was on there, physical CD copies were still very much a thing and selling great. You know, now you're like, oh yeah, well, Snoop and Dre and all them, like, their album went to #1 on iTunes the next day. But like, dude, those are pennies. Like, if we're talking about millions of buys, it's one thing, but like, that was a goddamn production that they put on. I mean, they had to pay the amount of insurance just for 50 cents fat ass to hang upside down was pretty a good bit, I'd say. So like, it definitely doesn't seem as worth it now to me for them to do that. I guess Dre like sells his beats, so that gives him recognition. It's not, I don't know, like that had to cost
I
him a
bet
shit ton of money.
I mean, hell, I bet a whole lot of people went on wherever and skewed up some fucking Dre and Snoop jams that they hadn't listened to in a long time.
Of
And
course,
they're listening to again now. But
relevancy is
I
a
don't know
thing.
if it equates to like $7 million worth or whatever, which is what they spent. So apparently,
But Snoop's been relevant. Like, he stays on TV. It's not like he needed more national exposure.
Right. Yeah, but the stuff I read, and who knows what's true, but the stuff I read was that it was Dre funding it all, and it was like $7 million. So like Snoop and them, they just showed up and hit,
Oh, well, then for Dre,
do that.
with his beats and all that, yeah, he probably made $7 million back just on beats.
So there's been a bunch of different sponsors over the year, and it's mostly big, like Bridgestone, AmeriQuest, fucking, shit like that. I guess for a long time it was it changed, year by year, or it could AT&T, E-Trade, stuff like that. I know we're about to wrap up. This could have been a longer subject, but since we're on the halftime show, do you know the sort of history of the halftime show, and that it's like, it has not actually for very long been this like big elaborate production with A-list stars involved.
Used to just be like a college band come out, right? Or something.
They did that for a while, and then they did goofy shit. You can like the year before, I feel like Michael Jackson doing a halftime show was like the first big crazy thing, and it was sort of a paradigm shift for the Super Bowl halftime show.
It was like, well, we can't go back.
But the last year before MJ did it, it was this like Elvis impersonator who also was a magician.
Oh, that's
called Elvis Presto. And if you Google Elvis Presto halftime show, you can like find it on YouTube. And dude, it is wild. That that's what the Super Bowl halftime show used to be. Again, we think about it now, and it's like the biggest stars in the world putting on a multi-million-dollar production with some of the biggest hits of all time, right? But for a long time, it was just some dude in a fucking leisure suit talking funny and fucking doing rabbit tricks and stuff. Like, it was weird, man.
And it probably wasn't near as long either, which that changed the game for like the players. I heard, I think it was Drew Brees talking about like the difference in resetting from halftime of a regular season game versus resetting for the Super Bowl. He's like, it's some mental gymnastics you have to play. Cause like usually in a game, it's like, yeah, there's TV timeouts, yada, yada. Halftime is this, we get in there, we get the game plan, blah, blah, blah. He goes, but this, like, we got to like stay loose. Cause like, you know, we're in there for a minute. He's like, he's like, in both Super Bowls, I took a shower just trying to reset myself. And like, it's wild. Cause for a minute you forget, you're like, oh fuck, we're in the Super Bowl, man. And but yeah, that's Elvis Presto. My God.
Yeah,
Is that dude
and
still around, you think?
I have no idea. I think that was like 1989-ish or something like that is when
Yeah.
he did it. But the last thing I'll say about it, and I don't know that this is true, but I was reading about all of this on Reddit and stuff, and somebody commented and said the main reason that they changed their game in that regard was because back when they did bullshit like that, one year, like 1990 or somewhere around in there, Fox held their own. Fox did not have the Super Bowl like CBS had the Super Bowl or whatever, but Fox held their own Super Bowl halftime show,
Nice.
and it was a In Living Color special event, right?
I
And
think I
In
remember
Living
that.
Color was hugely popular at the time, right?
Yeah.
And the halftime show every year was fucking stupid bullshit.
Yeah.
So
That's a
everybody
great idea.
switched over. Great idea. Everybody switched over to Fox to watch the In Living Color special, and whatever game that was that year wasn't really hitting. And a huge chunk of those people just didn't come back afterwards. So the NFL, when that happened, they were like, we got to make this fucking thing hit. Like,
Right.
We can't be having this shit no more. And so that's sort of what prompted the big elaborate shit we see today. So there you go. Little history lesson for you.
Yeah, and it's been some bangers. Banger this year, in my opinion. That was right up my alley.
Yeah. All right.
Hey.
Well, go do patreon.com/Trae Crowder. I do fun stuff over there, and it includes some skews shit too. Now, if you're a skews fan, a skewer, then go to my Patreon and holler at that skew stuff on there and or my stuff, all that. Just do it. It'll hit. And listen to Weekly Skews wherever you get your podcast, live every Tuesday night at 5 p.m. on my socials. Go ahead, Joe.
Absolutely. And you can check me out at CoreyWritesForYou.com. It's a little subscription blog type service where I put out different musings every week and audio from it. There's like a little mini podcast situation. Pretty cool. But what I really want y'all to do is go to WellREDComedy.com and get tickets to see us live at the Bijou in Knoxville, Tennessee, little homecoming Jones show. It's going to be super fun, and can't wait to do it. And thank you all for listening to the WellRED Show. We'd love to stick around longer, but we got to go. Tune in next week if you got nothing to do. Thank you. God bless you. Good night and skew.
Skew.